Good morning, Nigeria, and welcome to Daybreak Live on Dominion Television. Yes, the headlines are not slowing down, and neither are we on this dial. I am Samson Balogo, and this is Daybreak Live, where decisions are questioned, power is examined, and nothing is taken at face value.
And I'm Manulu Ido. A lot has shifted overnight in the academic and political space, especially in our universities. After days of tension, ASU has suspended its 2-week warning strike. For students, lecturers, and parents, it's a sigh of relief, but also a reminder that Nigeria's education system is still standing on fragile ground.
Well, that's exactly what we'll be talking about on Daybreak Gist this morning. But then, suspension is not resolution. The core issues, welfare, infrastructure, funding are still on the table. The academic clock may resume, but the time bomb within the system keeps ticking.
Ticking like a time bomb. Anyway, in a moment, Daybreak News will bring you to the top national and global developments shaping politics, policy, and public life today.
All right, then we'll move through the front pages, beyond the headlines, and into the motives, power players, and what they are not telling you.
We need to know that.
Absolutely.
And for today's big story, we step into geopolitics and national security. From Washington to Abuja, how foreign politics interfere in Nigerian security narratives when foreign governments make statements about Nigeria. Is it concern, control, or quiet influence?
Well, it could be any of these three, but most definitely we'll touch that on the big story. Joining us is Sam Nwoko, senior editor with the Nigerian Tribune and a sharp voice on national affairs. From terror debates to global power plays, is here to break it all down with us this morning.
And we'll wrap things up with Trend Watch, where the nation's conversations meets its contradictions.
Interesting. Well, this is Daybreak Live, and today we follow the truth wherever it leads. Shall we begin?
I guess we have to begin.
We have to
Good morning to you, Samson.
Good morning to you. Good to have you back on the show.
Yes, many students, maybe a student hypothetically called me yesterday to say, oh my goodness, we're back in school. And I said, you are only back for a while. I hope you are back for real back. I mean, to say the strike has gone forever. But again, this is not the first time.
They have not actually, struck a deal. It's just a suspension to have a dialogue with the government.
Yeah, and then they are giving the federal government about 1 month to get things done. But can it be done in 1 month?
Well, I think the suspension of this 2-week strike might just question the capacity of the current leadership of ASU to actually get something out of the government, especially when it comes to making some requests. But then people will question their capacity, but will they be able to get it done? That's another question. And most importantly, let's look at the impact of incessant strikes on our institutions and how it affects average Nigerian students out there. We've seen, this is not the first time. I mean, we've seen so many people push the blame to the APC-led government. I mean, ASU strike has always been there, whether today, yesterday, or day before that. We have always had strikes in Nigeria. I could remember there were times when schools were shut for over a year. I mean, this is not new to the Nigerian education ecosystem. But the truth of the matter is the government of the day will have to bear the brunt of whatever it is happening now. So, for example, the agreement, which is currently being fought by labor unions in the country, wasn't even agreed by the present administration.
Since
it was
2009.
2009. I mean, and they are having to bear that at this time. So it tells you how failure to continue governance from where the last administration stopped has actually haunted the country called Nigeria. Now, what I see as that should be the beauty of governance, which is continuity, is lost. If you look at some situations in the country, just to digress a little bit, you see projects that was being done by an administration. And since that administration left power, it has been suspended. And you begin to wonder, what exactly does this project belong to Nigeria? Yes. Will it be completed with the Nigerian people's money? Yes. And why are we not doing it? That's the question the leadership will have to answer. But the truth at this time is, in order to put an end to this incessant strike, what are the things that should be done? Now, yes, when the economy changes, when times change, tides also change. So things are totally different from what they had in 2009 and what is happening now. But it is still funny to me that the agreement of 2009 is yet to be fulfilled in 2025. So if that of 2009 has not been activated, what will happen to that of 2025? That's the question. So if we are not done with 2009, in 2025, that's about some 16 years.
Wow.
So what will happen to that agreed upon in the year 2025?
I mean, there's so much to talk about considering this issue. First, we could also see, like you mentioned, the body language of the government to this kind of strikes seems as though education is not so much a priority to them. And, you know, I think I'm one of the few persons who got the brunt of this while I was in school. I remember some of us took a 5-year course
For
like
years.
6, 7 years, and it affects you. Now, there are age limitations and barriers when you come out of that system to say you're looking for a job. I've applied for many applications abroad and across the world, and only to get there to realize that you will not be required to, you will be an early career person. For you to be an early career person, then you don't have to get to, you must not get to this particular age range, you know. So they gave us that. So I think at some point also in my university, there was about an exchange program between my university and another university in Spain, in Barcelona. And so some of us could not go. We had the qualification, we had the credentials, we had the results to be presented to say, okay, yes, we are now verified to go for the exchange program. But we could not go because at the time they said there's an age range. Once you are above the age range, you would never go for that kind of thing. So imagine what that can do to me. Now, let's talk about the psychological aspect of that. To an average Nigerian student, you grew up to enjoy these strikes in a sense. Not enjoy, I mean enjoy in an ironical way. So you enjoy all of these strikes. What does it do to you as a person? Does it not tell you that the government is not really serious about education? Does it not also tell you that the government is not really serious about you? Because if they are more concerned, if they are people-centric, they would not allow these things to happen, because we understand that education is the bedrock of development. I've gone to E3 to see the United States. Many of the developments that happened in the United States when they were in their primitive stage were taken from the university settings, to say universities, different research and all of that. They brought it up to say, okay, so this is what we are doing. There's a time they did something called agricultural subsidy, and it was because a particular university in the US brought out a lot of ways, policies, and how to go about the subsidy so they can make the prices of food items as low as possible. But that's not usually the case in Nigeria. Federal government ASU is not new to an average person. That's why a lot of persons who have the wherewithal would not send their kids to federal government schools, to government schools. They will send their kids to private institutions, right? Which is also okay. It's good for that. But it should not be because of the strike that they don't want to do that, because we still have a lot of universities that are public, but they are amazing. I can mention 5 or even more in the country that are doing excellently well. University of Ibadan, OAU, a lot of us, I don't want to get into that.
But they still get affected by ASU strikes.
Exactly. So the case is, if it affects the age of people, when do you expect these people to really grow and become what they want to become? Because life is measured in time. My success, my achievement, my progress, my trajectory, upward mobility has to do with time. So if you take my time, you're taking my life. Time is money, some say, but time is also life, because what makes me a person now is because I have the time and I'm still breathing. Right. The moment I go, that's my time is over.
You see, the challenge is that you mentioned that the people at the corridor of power really do not care so much about education in the country, and I couldn't agree less as regards that, because if you look at the current situation, who are the people who are being affected by ASU strikes and some other things that really do not sit well with the Nigerian people? You realize the fact that they are the 99% poor in the country. I will put it that way, because I want to put the elite and the rich at 1% as it stands, because the rate with which poverty has ravaged the country called Nigeria,
has gone global.
The last few years, it has skyrocketed, and you begin to wonder, where was the initial average class we used to have back then, which we belonged to? But then gradually it eroded, and we had just 2 classes, which is the rich and the poor. Let me put that way. And the government even mentioned it. They said the poorest of the poor. So they knew exactly what is going on. It's not like they are not aware. They are very much aware of the current situation. So who are the people who are facing this challenge? They are the people who are called the poorest of the poor. I mean, I don't see Rotimi Amechi's son going to, the University of Ibadan right now. Most of them are schooling abroad. Yes, on Wike's children, they are schooling abroad. And so many other ones like that, to mention but a few. And the ones who actually have to study in Nigeria go to private universities where they pay millions and millions of naira per semester. So who are the ones who are going to be in the university where ASU will strike? They are the children of the poor. So they really do not, they are not feeling it. So they really don't really feel like it's urgent or necessary to get some things done. But if it continues this way, it will get to a point where the education system will be meaningless. Why do I say it will be meaningless? Why would you go to school for 4 years and then you discover that, after 4 years, there's nothing to be done? Or a 4 years course turns to a 6-7 years course for you. So it's a challenge. Now, we had an epidemic a few years ago, which was, I think, was stopped a little bit last year, where Nigerian students will go to Cotonou, Benin Republic, Togo, Ghana to get degrees. And then when they come back, most of them really cannot do anything because how they got the degree, they don't know. There was someone who was a journalist who went there undercover and discovered you can even pay for degrees in these schools. So how do you go to a country like that and pay for degrees and then come back to Nigeria and say, oh, I'm a graduate? And then they even go for youth service. So these are the kind of, this is the kind of stunts we'll be seeing, people pulling out. So people will have to cut corner. Oh, if I cannot study in Nigeria smoothly, let me just go to somewhere close by and then buy my degree and then come back to Nigeria. But the challenge is we will now have half-baked professionals in our fields.
Definitely.
You have half-baked medical doctors, you have lawyers, you have people in different categories, even teachers. Because now you realize the fact that some people are getting into their profession not because they have passion, but because they cannot secure another gainful employment somewhere else or what they have passion for. So it becomes a challenge. When an untrained trainer trains someone, then it becomes a problem. So what are you passing across? I think there was a time I was speaking with someone last week that I used to have a teacher that taught me mathematics. All he does when it comes to class is to face the chalkboard. He will murmur to himself, just say a few things that you really cannot hear when you are right behind him. And then that's all. He packs his books and he leaves. He gives you an assignment. So it's now your headache to go fix it out there. Probably find someone who can teach you or maybe go home and then disturb your parents to find a way to. So if you had that kind of foundation, what will you become?
Yeah.
When you eventually get the opportunity to. So we are preparing to fail if we continue this way and then we handle the education sector with hands of levity. So it's a big challenge and the government needs to see it as such. Until that is done, when you see it as there should be state of emergency declared in the education sector. It calls for it. It has gotten to that stage where you are ashamed of the education sector in the country. It's quite challenging. It's not just about ASU. Go to other primary schools, secondary schools, you begin to question yourself about the learning condition in the schools. Look at the facilities there. Some of them don't even have restrooms. And we call these places schools. If students are not comfortable at the place of learning, I don't see anything they can learn. Only a few of them who are exceptional will be able to grab one or two things and then leave. And those who are meant to be geniuses will eventually become average students. Exactly. And the ones that are meant to be average students will eventually become the ones you call, he doesn't know anything. And no one is created to be mentally poor when it comes to education. At least you must be average. So if we continue this way, that is how we begin to dwarf the mental reasoning of average Nigerian students out there.
I'll take a quick plunge into some of the things you've said, but very quickly, I'll first mention the fact that if we talk about the rots in the education system, it's a lot to unfold, a lot to unpack. I
was going by a public school in Ibadan a few days ago, and the school, half of that school is now a refuse dumping ground. And there are students in that school. They go to that school.
That's the question now, because what does it do to society? What does it do to the mind of the people that are in those schools are going to be leaders of tomorrow? So if they sustain that ideology, they feel like it's normal. We've seen some of these ills, some of this rot in the system as a normal thing that should happen. So if it does not happen, we will question ourselves. But again, I wanted to speak to the issue of the federal government and ASU. Why is Crispy Wuna saying we are calling it off when you gave a 2-week ultimatum, when your demands, your requests have not been sorted? Why go in the first place to say we want to have a warning strike when you could have consultation? Because sometimes I wonder, the first thing that shows, when there's a conflict, what is more important is conflict resolution. We are meant to have conflict of interest and all of these conflicts that we have, but we can always resolve them. How do we resolve them? First, let's have a conversation. Consultation, consolidation of those things that they use is very, very important. So you can't just say we want to get into a strike. We want to warn you with a strike. Industrial action, it goes a long way to
be the last thing to do.
The last resort, because it takes away a lot of things. Now, students, their time, now financial resources are going to go for that. A lot of things are on the stake. You know, a lot of it are at stake to say you want to just, you know, get into a particular industrial action or strike action, whatever you call it. Because because at the end of the day, if what you are fighting for is the welfare of the people, has it been responded to? Not exactly. Some of the other things you're asking for, has it been the federal government's agreement of 2009 with the ASU? Has it been agreed upon? No. So why call off the strike? I'm not trying to say they should not, but I'm saying that before you even get into that warning strike, why can't you have these conversations right before getting, do the right things first, put the best foot forward, and put the horse, okay, ahead of the cart. Right? So it's not the cart before the horse.
Industrial action in Nigeria has suddenly become, the toy button. You know, when you want to play with something, you just press a button, and then you make it, maybe create an action or something. But as disheartening as it is, that we have had to face this. Some of us who went to public institutions have had to experience this. Sometimes it is just necessary to drive a point home, but unfortunately, they are not ready, and then strike actions are put out there. But the only challenge I have with this situation was they called off the strike just when NLC decided to join them in the warning strike, and then they called off the strike. So what happened? That's one area I want to really look into. Maybe the story will develop eventually. We'll see exactly what happened. NLC came out to say, oh, ASU is, an arm of the NLC, and we are supporting you. In fact, we will join you in this strike, and before 24 hours, the strike is off. So we'll see what exactly the problem is and how they ended up, calling off the strike, or where probably it was more or less, it sounded more like a threat to the federal government, and they quickly called ASU to the table to say, let's have a discussion. We'll get to know that. But as it unfolds, we will know. Well, this will be the convenient point to, draw the curtains on this segment of the show this morning. We'll say thank you for being a part of the show so far. Let's go on a quick break. When we return, we'll take weather reports. We'll be back.
Need a professional space to bring your vision to life? Dominion Television Studios offers state-of-the-art facilities perfect for your next broadcast, commercial, corporate video, or live event. With flexible rental options, cutting-edge equipment, and a supportive team, we provide the perfect environment for high-quality productions. Unleash your creativity. For bookings, email us at marketing@dominion.org.ng. Call us on 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok at Dominion Broadcast, and on X at Dominion Casts. Book your space today. Dominion Television, your channel of choice.
All right, welcome back from that short break. The show is still Daybreak Live right here on Dominion Television, your channel of choice. Now it's time to take weather reports and bring you a roundup of what's happening as regards to weather across the country this morning. Yes, I will be starting from the southwest, and that is Osogbo in Osho State this morning, as weather currently feels like 24 degrees Celsius in Osogbo this morning. And later in the morning, it will be cloudy and rise to 28 degrees Celsius. It will be partly cloudy in the afternoon at 31 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy in the evening at 25 degrees Celsius, and cloudy overnight in Osogbo today at 24 degrees Celsius.
And now in Ibadan, like they say, southwest of your state now, 24 degrees Celsius is what the weather feels like. It's also said to be cloudy. Of course, variations across morning till night, 28 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy as well. And afternoon, 31 degrees Celsius with scattered thunderstorms. Also evening, 25 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy, and overnight, 24 degrees Celsius, cloudy in Ibadan, southwest Oyo.
All right, moving on to Ekiti. In Ekiti State this morning, weather currently feels like 22 degrees Celsius in Ekiti this morning. And later in the morning, it will be mostly cloudy and rise to 27 degrees Celsius. It will be partly cloudy in the afternoon at 30 degrees Celsius. Mostly cloudy in the evening at 23 degrees Celsius. And overnight, it will be cloudy at 22 degrees Celsius in Ekiti today.
The weather is partly cloudy at 26 degrees Celsius in Lagos today. Lagos, Nigeria. The weather is 31 degrees Celsius across, and variations in the morning 29 degrees Celsius cloudy, and afternoon 29 degrees Celsius. Isolated thunderstorm is expected, and mostly cloudy in the evening at 27 degrees Celsius. Also mostly cloudy overnight at 26 degrees Celsius in Lagos, Lagos State, Nigeria. It's partly cloudy today.
All right, moving on to Abeokuta in Ogun State this morning. Weather currently feels like 25 degrees Celsius in Abeokuta this morning, and it will be mostly cloudy later in the afternoon and rise to 29 degrees Celsius. There will be scattered thunderstorms in the afternoon at 32 degrees Celsius. Mostly cloudy in the evening at 26 degrees Celsius, and same overnight, mostly cloudy at 25 degrees Celsius in Abeokuta today.
Still in Southwest, of course, Ekiti East is where we are now, Ekiti State. Okay, yes, we've taken Ekiti, and then we move on to the Federal Capital Territory, I guess. Yes, let's take Port Harcourt first. Port Harcourt feels like 21 degrees Celsius this morning, and later in the morning, 25 degrees Celsius with isolated thunderstorms. Afternoon, 26 degrees Celsius, thunderstorms is expected, and evening, 22 degrees Celsius, cloudy as well. Overnight, 21 degrees Celsius with thunderstorms also promised in Port Harcourt. The weather feels fair in Rivers State today.
All right, taking Ilorin East, Kwara State this morning. Weather currently feels like 24 degrees Celsius in Ilorin, the Kwara State capital. This morning, it will be partly cloudy later in the morning at 29 degrees Celsius. Also partly cloudy in the afternoon at 34 degrees Celsius. Mostly cloudy in the evening at 27 degrees Celsius, and cloudy overnight in Ilorin at 24 degrees Celsius.
Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory, weather feels like 23 degrees Celsius today. Cloudy, of course, later in the morning, 28 degrees Celsius is what we have. And afternoon, 31 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy as well. It's partly cloudy in the evening, and overnight, 26 degrees Celsius and 23 degrees Celsius, respectively, in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory today.
All right, moving on. Lastly, on the weather report this morning, we'll take Suleja in Niger State. And the weather currently feels like 23 degrees Celsius in Suleja this morning. And later in the morning, it will rise to 28 degrees Celsius, cloudy right there in Suleja. Partly cloudy in the afternoon at 31 degrees Celsius. Also partly cloudy in the evening at 25 degrees Celsius. And same, partly cloudy overnight at 23 degrees Celsius in Suleja today. And that will be all we can take on weather report this morning. We say thank you for being a part of the show so far. Do well to link up with us on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram and TikTok at Dominion Broadcast, and on X, formerly Twitter, at Dominion Cast. You can also watch us live on our website, www.dominion.org.ng, dominion.org.ng. You can watch us live too on our YouTube channel. Subscribe to that channel, click on the notification bell at Dominion Broadcast. Now it's time to go for a short break. When we return, we'll take the news. We'll be back.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching, and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Ready to go live? Like never before. Book the OB van today and take your event to the world. One powerful broadcast at a time.
To book, call 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Email marketing@dominion.org.ng or visit our socials on Instagram @Dominion Broadcast.
Dominion Broadcast, your channel of choice.
Hello and welcome. This is Daybreak News on Dominion Television. My name is Anoluakbo Idowu. President Bola Tinubu has written to the Senate seeking the screening and confirmation of Dr. Bernard Doro from Plateau State as the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction. The letter conveying the request was read by Senate President Godswill Akpabio during plenary. Akpabio subsequently referred the nomination to the Committee of the Whole for further legislative action, directing it to report back as soon as practicable. Doro's nomination follows the elevation of Professor Nentawe Goshwe Iwatda, who previously held the position before he emerged as the national chairman of the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, in July. The House of Representatives has resolved to investigate the alleged use of harmful chemicals as preservatives for frozen foods across the country. The resolution of the House was sequel to the adoption of a motion of urgent public importance brought before the Green Chamber in plenary by member representing Ehime Mbano Iyite Uboma Obowo Federal Constituency, Imo State, Honorable Chike Okafo. With the adoption of the motion, the House called on the Federal Ministries of Health, Agriculture and Food Security, NAFDAC, SON, and other relevant agencies to appear before the investigative committee to provide valuable information on their effort to curb the dangerous trend. It also mandated its committees on nutrition and food security, NAFDAC and safety standards to conduct an investigative hearing on the alleged use of harmful chemicals as preservatives of frozen foods and importation of frozen foods preserved with carcinogenic substances and report back to the House within 6 legislative weeks. Similarly, the House of Representatives has resolved to investigate the $460 million Chinese loan secured by the President Goodluck Jonathan administration in 2010 to procure and install closed-circuit televisions in strategic locations within the Federal Capital Territory to enhance security in the nation's capital, but the project was not executed. The resolution of the House followed the adoption of a motion of urgent public importance moved by the member representing Isu Kwato Umuneji Federal Constituency in Abia State, Honorable Amobi Oga, during a plenary. Following the adoption of the motion, the House resolved to set up an ad hoc committee to investigate the status of the project and submit a report to the House for further legislative action. The National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, has deployed an emergency response following a petrol tanker explosion that claimed 39 lives and left more than 60 others with severe burns in a Son community, Kacha local government area of Niger State. NEMA made this known in a post on its X handle confirming the development. NEMA said that its Director General, Zubaida Umar, immediately directed the head of MENA Operations Office, Hussaini Issa, to activate the rescue team and deploy to the scene to support the Niger State Emergency Management Agency and other responders in rescue operations. As part of efforts to ensure road safety during the festive season, the Federal Road Safety Corps, FRC, has launched its 2025 Amber Month campaign in Lagos with a strong call for responsible driving practices. Speaking at the official flag-off ceremony, Lagos State Sector Commander of the FRC, Kehinde Hamzat, urged motorists to avoid dangerous habits such as driver fatigue, overloading, and the transportation of fuel in plastic containers. Commander Hamzat emphasized that driver behavior remains a critical factor in ensuring safety on Nigerian highways, particularly during the high traffic period leading up to the end of the year. The Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, has suspended the 2-week warning strike it declared last week across all public universities in the country. ASU announced at a press conference held at its headquarters in Abuja. President of ASU, Chris Piwuna, who read a speech before newsmen, explained that the development followed the intervention of the Senate and some other well-meaning Nigerians.
The warning strike is hereby suspended with immediate effect from midnight, Wednesday, the 27th of October 2025. 2. Should government fail to resolve the issues within the 1-month window, ASU reserves the right to resume the strike without further notice at all. ASU appeals to prospective Nigerians and stakeholders in education to prevail on the government to speedily.
However, it said the National Executive Council of the Union resolved to give the government a 1-month window to address all contending issues. In business, the House of Representatives has resolved to intervene in the recent face-off between members of the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, PENGASAN, and the Dangote Refinery, which had disrupted the nationwide distribution of petroleum products. The resolution of the House followed the consideration and adoption of a motion of urgent public importance co-sponsored by Kano and Sokoto lawmakers Al-Hassan Doguwa and Abdul Samad Dasuki, respectively, during plenary. Following the adoption of the motion, the House urged its leadership to broker peace between the two parties in the interest of the nation. It also urged the Federal Ministries of Labor and Employment, Industry, Trade and Investment, and Justice to jointly develop and implement a national framework or set up policies to safeguard private investment of strategic national importance from adversarial and unlawful union actions. And in sports, the Confederation of African Football, CAF, has unveiled the list of nominees for the 2025 CAF Awards, with several Nigerian players earning recognition, though some notable omissions have sparked debate. Nigeria and Galatasaray forward Victor Osimhen has been shortlisted for the Player of the Year award. In the goalkeeping category, Stanley Nwabali of Chippa United earned a well-deserved nomination for Goalkeeper of the Year following his outstanding performances for the Super Eagles at international and club levels. Nigerian star and Flying Eagles captain Daniel Bameyi also made the shortlist for the Young Player of the Year, capping an impressive year for the teenage defender. The CAF Award ceremony is scheduled to take place later this year, where Africa's best footballers, coaches and teams will be honored for their performances over the past season. You can visit our website on www.dominion.org.ng to watch us live and interact with us. You can also follow us across our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and LinkedIn at Dominion Broadcast, and next at Dominion Cast. And as Daybreak News, I am Anuluwapo Ido. Thank you for watching.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB Van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Ready to go live? Like never before. Book the OB van today and take your event to the world. One powerful broadcast at a time.
To book, call 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Email marketing@dominion.org.ng or visit our socials on Instagram @Dominion Broadcast.
Dominion Broadcast, your channel of choice.
Thank you for staying with us. Welcome from that short break. Now it's the newspaper headlines and analysis on this particular broadcast this morning. Should we say congratulations? Should we start from that? Tinubu is about to swear in Amupiton as the INEC chairman. That seems to be a congratulatory thing to say, but we'll get all of that in the course of this particular edition of the broadcast. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. I'm not alone in the studio. I have with me Lekon Shobowale, a public affairs analyst and a journalist, joining us on set this morning. Good morning to you, Lekon.
Good morning. How are you?
Very well. Should we say congratulations first? Where do we start from?
Let's say congratulations to Professor Amupiton.
Amupiton.
And we are expecting so much from him.
Let's take a brief. There was a story yesterday that I want us to quickly speak to in a few seconds. Amupiton was met with something not very funny. I think the day before yesterday, that two INEC officials going to Anambra for the elections and all of the preparations were kidnapped, about 3 of them. And that seems like a welcome on board kind of message. What do you make of that?
It's just a point out to the fact that Amupiton should also look into the security of his officers and his staff, because of the very important national assignment they have in their hands. So he should also take time to look, into their security among other things. So another look at the security of his staff and officials.
All right, but there's so much you can do. Yes, let's get into that message or that particular story deeper. Now, electoral reform, Senate brought a story yesterday and it's today a thing to discuss. Senate pushes INEC to defend election results. In fact, another print would say that Senate proposes mandatory electronic transmission of results. Let's take all of this together to have a comprehensive thoughts of yours on this. Now, to say the Senate they are moving for INEC to now defend election results, which some would even disagree to say they've been doing some sort of thing. But anyway, now they are still proposing a mandatory electronic transmission of results. But I'll just give a background to that. I was part of the last presidential election in Benue State, and I recall that I was a presiding officer and I used the beavers. And I must tell you that there are some places in Nigeria that the network is not as good. In fact, the signal is almost like non-existent. So in some places to transmit data online will be difficult. I think one of the things we resulted into doing was to transmit offline, but offline can be manipulated. Now, there's a lot of conversations around it, but let's just give us your thought on this. What should Amufiton do right?
Well, what the Senate, what they are saying is this, that they want to repeal the 2022 Electoral Act and come up with a 2025 Electoral Act. And in that Electoral Act, they are proposing that INEC should be the one to defend any electoral results. You know, before now, what we used to have is that in the 2022 Electoral, what we used to have is that party agents or party representatives with the legal practitioners, we go to INEC, they now start sorting out results. You know, at some point, I remembered in 2009, 2010, during the electoral issues of Osun State, Aregbesola versus Oyinlola, then Adams Oshiomhole versus Professor Osumbo in Edo State. What they did was that they have to brought in forensic experts from UK, you know, just to verify results. And the National Assembly is saying that no, this is wrong. From the beginning to the end of any election tribunal cases, it should be the responsibility of the INEC. I remember in 2015, 2016, during the second term of late governor of Oyo State, Abiola Jimobi, I was covering the court then. I remember the late governor of Ondo State, Akeredolu, you know, Chief Ola Enipekun, SAN, Niya Akintola, all of them, they were the one defending, they were the defendants for the legal practitioners on the side of late former governor Abiola Jimobi. They brought in so many election results. They brought in so many documents. Ali SAN, was the lawyer, on the side of the Oyo INEC there. Brought in so many documents, just to, convince the tribunal that former governor Abiola Jimobi won the election. What this 2025 Electoral Act is saying is that it should no longer be the responsibility of the winner or the political party from A to Z. INEC conducted the election.
It should be able to defend it.
It should be able to, it is your result. They are saying, come and defend your result. It's as if someone is telling me that I should bring someone to come and defend my first degree certificate or master's. That it should be the responsibility of the school. Okay, you are not sure of this certificate, you just write to the school. The school will give you a confirmation of that result. It's as simple as that. So when there are issues, when there are disputes in elections, tribunals, let INEC defend the result, because INEC was the one that organized the election. It was the one that conducted the election. It was the one that announced the election. So you should be able to defend the election that you have announced to the members of the public.
Now, speak very quickly to the transmission issue. Is it possible? Are we at that stage where Nigeria can transmit results from everywhere?
We are not at that stage yet.
But can it be done?
Yes, it can be done 80%.
How do you mean?
You understand? What I mean is that, there will always be an exceptional cases. During my course of covering elections in Nigeria, there are some places. In 2023, I was at a place, with PDP governorship candidate, Jando. We traveled on the sea for almost 2 hours or 3 hours. You understand? In that area, there is no way you can transmit any election online. So, in those cases, it can only be done offline. But I think, like now you have been part of electoral processes. When they are talking about these beavers, when beavers failed, they used to have this registered, that you can use manually, So, but if you can achieve transmission of results 80%, then 20% can be for the areas where electronic transmission cannot be done. When you go deep inside of our local government, you go deep inside local, it may be so difficult for you to transmit election online, electronically. But in such cases, there should be a provision for the offline transmission of electoral results.
So it should not be a mandatory 100% guarantee to say you must give us this.
It should not. See, let me tell you from experience, because of the mandatory transmission of election results, most of our politicians, Nigerian politicians are so wise and they are so greedy, like I used to say. Some of them in 2023, some of them hide under the fact that in some polling areas, elections were transmitted offline. And the Electoral Act 2022 said it should be transmitted electronically. So now they are claiming electoral malpractices in those areas, which should not be. So this 2025 Electoral Act should not, there should not be any lacuna that our politicians cannot hide under it. So it is very obvious that it cannot be done 100%. So if we can achieve that 80%, yes,
it's a good way to go.
One thing that INEC has done that that I love so much is at the polling booth, that's the first how do I put
point of call.
Yes. So at the polling booth, they announce the results will be announced. So everybody knows the result already. So when you get to the local government, then you can now be doing any online or
but that's the case. I know maybe for some, but for many of the places I visited when I was part of that process, that was the issue. So because every party was going to stand and say, okay, this is what we are counting. Everybody is seeing what we are counting. So this is Lekon, this is Shobowale, this is Shobowale 3. So everybody knows what's obtainable. But again, the transmission of result, like you mentioned, I think, like you also said, should not be a 100% mandatory issue. So let's get on to something else now. There's an ISWAP thread on the Punch newspaper this morning. On the front page is the big story, the big caption sitting right there. And it's saying so many scary things. Now, for one, it says Southwest and North Central states on high alert. Yeah. So governors, police tighten surveillance as Ayedatiwa, that's
Ondo State,
Ondo State, Ododo. Others urge calm amid ISWAP threat alert. ISWAP threatening Southwest and North Central. Again, we've seen the issue of terrorism, we've seen the issue of banditry, we've seen the issue of also ISWAP as well. The threat is now coming to Southwest. What do you make of this?
Well, like I've been saying, this is not the first time that they've been using this threat. And this is not the first time they've been making attempts to come into the Southwest. But the main issue, the great concern is how prepared is the state government, especially the Southwest. Like I told you a few weeks ago, it doesn't happen in Oyo State. I was at Kishi in Egepo local government. We saw these people. They were chased out of that town by the local vigilante. How prepared, it is not about the ISWAP issuing threats. It is about, let me give you an instance. Yesterday there was this leaked DSS report, addressed to the Ondo State government. And few members of the public, and journalists got this leaked memo. But at the end of the day, the Ondo State government refuted the statement, saying that it is not meant for members of the public. That it is, yes, that they said yes, they agree that it was just a memo, a exchange of memo between the Ondo State government and the DSS, and they are calling on the Ondo State people to be calm, and they are on top of it. See, it is important for our state government. It is not about denying. Yes, there are threats, and we are looking into it. We are taking proactive measures towards ensuring that this never happens. Yeah, so this is not okay. Now we have them in Kwara State. Kwara State is half Southwest. Kwara from Ilorin, Ogumosho to Oyo. So what are you talking about? So it is not about all this exchange of. It is only in Nigeria that you can read something like this. When you go to other, even developing nations of the world, you know, they take proactive measures, they take proactive steps. Before you know that these people are issuing threats, the government has taken over. But in Nigeria, it will first be a statement, it will be a release, it will be a, it is not important. For me, the most important thing is that these are not empty threats. When these people are saying they will, they will. So the government should take, it is very simple, let government take steps to protect the lives of the citizens from this issue. That is just the main thing.
All right, so let's take another story of interest now. Some have said the calling out of past leaders can be a way to shame them or to taint their image or to soil their reputation. Others are saying whoever does not do what is supposed to do should face what he's supposed to face, in a sense. Now, the story is about the former president, Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. Now, the reps are probing Jonathan's $460 million CCTV project. It was also in the news just that we took some minutes ago. Now, this is the story. Some are saying that the calling out is not really right because it's late already. Why bring this up again? It's like raising dust or beating a dead horse. There's nothing coming out of it. But others have also said, if you do the crime, you should do the time. Let's call you out for whatever you do so you can defend whatever you claim to have done. So what do you make of all of this issue? Where do you stand?
See, you know, the day, former President Goodluck Jonathan accepted or that he started making moves, that he also wants to contest to be president of Nigeria, you know, I know from that day that we surely have a problem.
Mm-hmm. You think that is coming from
no,
his
it
decisions?
Is just very simple. That the day I saw him, started moving around, consulting with David Mark and all those stuff, I know President Jonathan is a very gentleman. You know, he shouldn't be, you know, he shouldn't be involved in all these things. But for the fact that he's saying that he wants to contest, a few weeks ago, Bayo Onanuga, let's say to the president, he issues a public statement saying that they are waiting for Goodluck Jonathan to come out and contest, that most of his hidden secrets will be exposed.
So you think this is a witch hunt?
See, tell me how many of these are past presidents in Nigeria does not have so much skeleton in his cupboard? Is it my uncle Olusegun Obasanjo? Is it late President Muhammadu Buhari? Is it Goodluck Jonathan himself? Even our Oga, by the time he leaves office, all these things will be coming out. So all of them, they have all these things. But for the fact, you know, you are talking about CCTV projects now. But you know, because one would have expected that former President Goodluck Jonathan will just take, you know, will be taking his deserved rest now. You know, after serving, you know, after God has helped him to serve Nigeria.
And he also got a Global Peace Award too.
See, it is you know, for you to be president of Nigeria, it is a real privilege. Out of over 230 something millions of Nigerians, you emerge as the president for 6 years, you govern this country for 6 years. It is a privilege. So why are you now disturbing yourself? Why are you now worrying yourself because of all these David Mark, Aregbesola, Rotimi Amechi, they are pushing you to come out? It is not as if they like you. It is for their personal greediness. And you know, Goodluck Jonathan made a landmark record. First by calling late President Muhammadu Buhari, congratulating him, even as a sitting president, by telling Nigerians that and the politicians that no life, no blood of Nigerians worth, you know, his ambition never worth any lives of any Nigerians. So he has done so well for himself. So he should be out of all this. So that is why all these things are coming up. Before you know it, another thing will come up. Before you know it, another thing will come up. And you know, it will just be tarnishing his hard-earned international image. Because on a global stage, by the time this thing starts coming up, you know, those people will be thinking that, look at the person we are even along, that he has so many. So I will just appeal to President Goodluck Jonathan to, to just let this issue of 2027 presidency go. Take his time. His wife has done so well. His wife said, for her, she's not thinking of going back to Aso Rock again. That she's going to support President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Most of the things they see from President Jonathan has been released onto her again. So I don't know why President Jonathan, because I've seen Jonathan himself moving around, meeting with people, negotiating. He doesn't need this. If I can be governor of my state, if I can be chairman of my local government for 3 years, I'm okay.
Let's say until you get there. Because there's power hunger too. You might fall in the same trap of these people.
I know we are journalists. We understand this thing better. When we are not in that position, we take good care of ourselves. So even when we are there, it is just for us to help our people, to also contribute our quota, and to make records. So it is not about going there and dying there.
All right, let's not die on that issue. Now, there's another issue that might, of course, some have said is terrorism trial and all that. We will not speak, because the case is still in court, we will not speak directly to the issue in court. But there's a development I want us to really harp on a bit now. Kanu released Wike, Sanwo-Olu, Buratai among 23 witnesses. What is the fate of Kanu in this kind of listing?
Seriously, I don't really understand the kind of listing Wike, Sanwo-Olu.
23 people plus Kanu, plus Wike, Sanwo-Olu, and Buratai.
As your witness. Witness for what? See, let me tell you, even the kinsmen of Nnamdi Kanu, they are now blaming Omoyele Sowore that is already spoiling their case. Before now, the Southeast governor, with the assistance of Opus Odima, governor of Imo State, Opus Odima is very close to the president, and they have been appealing to the president. They have been talking to the president on ways, through which they can ensure the release of Nnamdi Kanu before this abnormal intervention of Omoyele Sowore into this case. Going by, thank God now that Nnamdi Kanu has agreed to open his defense. A case is already in the courts. You guys, you are on the streets. Of what importance is that? Bringing in Sanwo-Olu. Everybody understand what happened in NSAS. Is it 2021 or 2022 or thereabouts? Where Nnamdi Kanu was, we heard him giving orders, ordering his people to burn down police stations, to go to TVC, to go to the nation, to go to this, to go to burn them down, kill them. So bringing in Sanwo-Olu and Wike into this, to me, it makes no sense and it makes no meaning. You understand? I don't know what he's trying to achieve. I don't know what he's trying to do, because one of the accusations leveled against him is that of dissidents of Lagos State, NSAS dissidents. Maybe that's why he's bringing in Sanwo-Olu. So if Sanwo-Olu will now come to court and we will be telling the court that Nnamdi Kanu has never been part of the NSAS crisis in Lagos State, that the court should pardon him. Seriously, I don't understand.
All right, let's look at something else that you might understand this morning. Yes. Now, the federal government has moved to reform revenue collection and pricing of services. I was stating an instance of, I did a course in university called Extension. And one of the things we discovered from that course was that there was a time where there was a revolution in a particular developed nation of the world. And one of the things they did was they brought to fore some academic research and made it a policy. They fine-tuned it and ensured that it was viable and it would work. One of it was what they call agricultural subsidy. Now, the federal government then, in that particular country, paid agricultural subsidy. We know of few subsidy, but I'm not so sure many Nigerians know about agricultural subsidy, that you could pay something to ensure that the pricing of food items comes to the barest minimum for an average person. Because there's a saying in Yoruba that once you can tackle food, then poverty is almost at the bare level. So anybody can still survive, can still live. Right. So this is the case now. Federal government is moving to reform revenue collection. They are even improving on some of the technological incorporations. They're having more technology into the system to ensure that some loopholes are blocked. And the pricing of services is something that is also quite important. I think they are working on. Now, I know this would, of course, be a good development, but can this be achieved? Is it achievable by this present administration?
See, it depends, it depends on the perspective we are looking at it. Since the beginning of this present government, federal government has been able to achieve, increase in its IGR. And that's why we're having that large chunk of money being shared between the local government, the state government, and the federal government. And even before now, there has been a kind of subsidy on agriculture, because I always remember that at some time, federal government, they have been giving subsidized fertilizers, they have been giving free crops, free seeds to farmers. But these things, we will still have the Nigeria factor. You don't understand. See, some people are saying that the federal government should establish price control board. Before now, we used to have price control board. That if a bag of rice is 60,000 naira, it will be 60,000 naira
everywhere
across the country. And that would have been the best thing that this federal government will have. But the president, openly said it that he never believes in price control. Because
this present administration.
Yes, President Tinubu, he has said it times that number. That when people are talking about setting up price control board, President Tinubu said he never believes in price control. Maybe because he is like, President Tinubu is like a capitalist. So he believes in competition, market competition. That if you are saying that, okay, bag of rice should be 60,000 naira. So if someone is willing to sell at 56,000 naira, that person will also be forced to sell at 60,000 naira to the disadvantage of the citizen. So, yes, the president, the federal government has been able to improve on its revenue generation. We can, all of us have seen that in our IGR, and in the money being shared by the three tiers of the government. So, but I think I will just look at the issue of the pricing. I will wish and I will like if the federal government, because when you are talking about subsidy in agriculture, there is no way you want to subsidize agriculture when you don't have a price control board. The beauty of it is that if you are subsidizing agriculture, and subsidizing agriculture is not all about buying, a federal government buying a bag of rice 60,000 naira, you now sell to your people at 40,000 naira. That should not be the kind of subsidy that me am expecting. Subsidy should start from the first stage of agriculture, by providing subsidized fertilizer, giving them seeds, giving them crops. You understand? Then it will have been subsidized even before the end product. So I don't know, but I believe President Tinubu can still have a change of mind. This is what we have experienced, during the times of, we read it, even if we are not around there, during the time of late Chief Obafemi Awolowo. We have been having price control. Even in Lagos State, there is one market in Lagos State. I don't know the name they call it now. The market is I think it's every 2 Sundays or every 3 Sundays, where they take, the Lagos State government, we purchase all these food items, bag of rice, 3 kg, 6 kg, they will buy, and they sell to their people at a very low price, subsidized. So I think it can also be achieved in other states of the country.
All right, it's a good place to draw the curtains on this very edition. Thank you very much of the newspaper headlines. Lekon Shobowale, public affairs analyst and a journalist. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
And of course, now we head from Washington to Abuja to see what's happening, how politics is interfering across geopolitical zones with Samson. Stay with us. After this break, we'll come back for the big story.
Need a professional space to bring your vision to life? Dominion Television Studios offers state-of-the-art facilities perfect for your next broadcast, commercial, corporate video, or live event. With flexible rental options, cutting-edge equipment, and a supportive team, we provide the perfect environment for high-quality productions. Unleash your creativity. For bookings, email us at marketing@dominion.org.ng. Call us on 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok at Dominion Broadcast and on X at Dominion Cast. Book your space today. Dominion Television, your channel of choice.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching, and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Ready to go live? Like never before. Book the OB van today and take your event to the world. One powerful broadcast at a time.
To book, call 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Email marketing@dominion.org.ng or visit our socials on Instagram at Dominion Broadcast.
Dominion Broadcast, your channel of choice.
All right, good morning and welcome to the big story on Daybreak Live. Today we turn our lens outward to the corridors of global power and examine how the politics played thousands of miles away can shape, shift, and sometimes distort the narrative around Nigeria's own security. From the statements of Western governments to the tone of international media coverage, how much of Nigeria's security perception is self-driven and how much is influenced or interfered with by foreign politics? Stay with us as we connect the dots from Washington to Abuja, how foreign politics interfere in Nigerian security narrative. Samson Balogun is my name and thank you for joining us this morning. All right, in the complex web of global diplomacy and security relations, no nation truly stands alone. Over the years, Nigeria's internal security conversation has often found echoes and sometimes distortions in international arenas. Think back to the early 2000s when the US and its allies classified Nigeria as a terror watch nation under the attempted bombing incident involving the Nigerian citizen, a move that carried deep diplomatic and economic implications. Or the frequent labeling of Nigeria by Western think tanks as a failing state, shaping perceptions and investor confidence long before local realities were fully considered. From military assistance and intelligence sharing to subtle pressures and policy alignment, the fingerprints of the foreign influence have lingered in our domestic security discourse. Even recent debates on counterterrorism, human rights, and the fight against insurgency have been swayed by narrative crafted in Washington, London, Brussels. Narratives that often ignore the local complexities that define our security landscape. So, the big question today is how far can and should foreign politics go in defining the Nigerian story? And to help us unpack this complex issue, we have with us in the studio this morning Sam Nwoko, senior editor with the Nigerian Tribune and a seasoned commentator on national issues, who will help us navigate these overlapping realities of power, perception, and politics. Thank you for joining us in the studio this morning. Sam Nwoko, good to have you.
Good morning. Good to be here. Good morning, viewers.
You listened to how we started.
Yeah, I listened.
How much influence does foreign narrative have over the security landscape in Nigeria?
It's so much. If we want to quantify it by percentage, we can say it's as much as 50–60%. Because we don't have weapons of our own. If we need weapons, then we have to share intelligence. We also have to, share. We belong to the Interpol. We belong to so many other things. We sign treaties and alliances. We belong to all these international organizations where we agree and disagree as a foreign nation. So it takes a lot. It's indeed a lot, because it defines you as, it quantifies you as somebody who is not an island. You have to work in the Committee of Nations as a true member of the Committee of Nations. So it has a whole lot to do with how we run our security, and how security and foreign influences foreign interest influences our security apparatus as a nation.
Some claim that global attention helps Nigeria tackle insecurity, while some say it distorts the narrative and paints Nigeria as one of the nations that are fragile. Just like recently when the US said Nigeria is a failing state, and so many other countries will now consider Nigeria to be a hot zone, and sometimes want their citizens not to come to Nigeria. Now, which side of the divide do you belong to?
I don't belong to any side of the divide, because both sides are true. When we look back at the military era, you will understand that to a large extent, it was a very, very difficult period for us as a nation. And people still talk about some of these things. That is why when Buhari was coming back and he was repackaged as a born-again Democrat, as he was defined, then some of us who, as children, witnessed our parents decry the regime, and also saw part of it as primary school children, I felt, no, it may not completely be true. That is on the one hand. On the other hand, we have to move on as a nation. We have to forgive. We have to also, maybe you may not forget, but you have to live with the thought that maybe things have changed, and with the changes you may have to witness, then it becomes one of the criteria to pick a democratically elected president. And we did elect Buhari, and none of us saw how it went. So on both sides, two truths can coexist, and all of them are embedded in what they are saying about Nigeria.
Now, let's look back a little bit. How did foreign politics shape Nigeria's security perception? going back in history, the Chibok girls kidnap, the Yaya bombings, and so many other things. And how much effect does it have on a country like Nigeria, especially when there's so much at stake? Nigeria is a country that depends so much on investors, foreign investors. As it stands, as Nigeria is currently not a producing economy, we rely so much on imports, and we rely so much on people coming into Nigeria to invest. Now, if we continue this way, and as it stands, with the current trajectory, what does it mean for the Nigerian economy in the long term?
Well, two issues here now. Let's unpack the security situation when we draw it from the near history here, from when Boko Haram and a few other, okay, let's say from Boko Haram to the involvement of where we are, involvement till where we are now. I want to believe that the period of Jonathan, the 6 years he spent as president, 4 out of those 6 years were terrible in terms of security for Nigeria. So much that the president himself had to give in. Had to give in and say, look, if things like this happen, America will know. I remember him saying that America will know. And that's part of the foreign influence. Then when Buhari came, and recently, Jonathan just recently said it, he said he believed that, well, since Boko Haram nominated him once to be their spokesperson, even though Buhari denied that he didn't know about it through Garba Shehu. He said, okay, if Boko Haram nominated him, then it means that when he becomes the president, we won't have the problem of Boko Haram any longer, or so it seems. But unfortunately, Boko Haram festered. Then it went as far as increasing in scope. So we had bandits, we had Fulani headsmen, we had terrorists, and so on, up to where we are today, when it has now become a religious, purely religious issue. You know, then how does that impact the economy? A whole lot. We remember what happened in Ibarakba that gave rise to people like Sunday Igboho rising to say, look, gentlemen, we have to do something about. I mean, this has to stop. A farmer, someone who is based in the United States, came to here to his community and started farming, and they killed him in the farm. And we keep referring to it. You know, we have a lot of mellifluous language through which we sing the bad song of insecurity in our country. You know, we give them all kind of euphemistic names and so on and so forth to be able to play down the matter. But now it has gone beyond that. And look at how much impact it has on our economy. Farmers, of course, we always read the reports of farmers that were slaughtered. We read reports of farmers that are paying, what do you call it, shakole now? They pay rent. Bandits. To bandits to be able to farm. And so all these reports, none of them is debunked. Even in places like Zamfara and Katsina, we know what farmers are going through. So all these things are impacting our economy. Benue used to be described as the food basket of the nation, but now it is now a bloodstream of the nation, more or less, because that is where you have the bulk of the latest of the security attacks. Then Plateau State, and so on and so forth. So in terms of economy, all these reports add up to help in boardrooms outside this country, where they would, even boardrooms in the country, they will say, look, gentlemen, if anybody is going to so place, well, you have to fortify the person in certain ways, or let's not go there at all, because there is nothing you can equate life with. So it's affecting us in so very many ways. That is why parts of the efforts of the government are not even showing in what people are doing. So it's not healthy at all. It's not helpful. It's not in any way enhancing our economy the way we would have wanted it to be.
Sam Woko. Now, if foreign countries, Western world, if they comment on the security challenges and situation in the country, now, is it genuinely coming from a place of concern, control, or quiet influence?
It could be all. I'll say all of the above. Now, concern is there because we have people who are genuinely concerned. Then, for control, they have always been on that. We, of course, know what it has been with the French government. We also know what it had been with the British government. British government will even stand and use the indirect method to control. But the Americans will come right there and say, okay, this is what we want. If you don't give it to them, they will come through some other means and use their influence to get what they want. So it's a whole lot of all that. Concerned individuals are there. And those ones who are concerned are people who know those who are affected. There are issues of people. Of course, you know what is happening now in the American legislature. Senator Ted Cruz, the bill he brought up, and so on and so forth. That is, for me, something that has triggered concerns in some other parts of that country. And now it has begun to escalate. And with this escalation now, you see that those who want to say, yes, it's a form of control or kind of exert influence or take over certain areas of our governance, they are also already there. And you cannot rule that out because everybody has intelligence. Intelligence flows around and is not controlled anywhere. It's fluid. And so for me, I think it's all of that. Concern, control, even economic control, social control, military control, and so on and so forth. So all of them are combined in this matter as we speak today. No. Because attention has shifted relatively from Palestine, Israeli-Palestine issues, and now it has shifted to some other things. And one of them is Nigeria.
Okay, now do you think framing Nigeria as a security risk by global institutions is rooted in genuine concern or geopolitical convenience?
Yeah, it's
as a follow-up to what
yes, more for me, it's geopolitical convenience. Because if you want to do it without us knowing that you did it, it will still happen. But now, for us to be able to rise up and react to that kind of thing, they have to make it look like it's for concern. And, well, the argument that it's for geopolitical convenience is also there because you could do it without us knowing. You could take these actions and we just hear the results. We saw it happen when Abacha was there. Nigeria was a pariah state. We were not allowed. In fact, Abacha never traveled anywhere. He was holding in his Aso Rock and so on and so forth. Yet, those foreign powers were coming. And they didn't have to say it. They didn't have to let Nigerians be part of the debate. They didn't have to let Nigerians be running helter-skelter, deciding where to stand on the matter. So, for me, it's like that. Today, Britain, in the past few weeks, they have been debating their relationship with China. They've been debating their relationship with certain people who have invaded who are now so very many in their country and dictating influence and so on. So for them too, it's both concern and geopolitical control. So it's all over the world, it's happening, and Nigeria is not an exemption in this matter.
All right. How powerful is international media in shaping how Nigeria's security situation is understood globally? Oh,
very powerful. Very powerful because we have those who are dedicated to doing just that. And part of it, okay, now look at Al Jazeera. There are those who are permanently tuned to Al Jazeera. There are those who are permanently tuned to Fox News. There are those who are permanently tuned to CNN. There are those who are permanently tuned to Channels Television. There are those who are permanently tuned to Dominion Broadcast, the TV. There are those who are permanently tuned to Arise TV. So each, according to his own view, will come and say, here, I learned that this is the narrative, and every of the narrative will be tilted, will be tainted, sorry. Each of the narrative will be tainted by how the media to which they are ingrained presents it. When we were growing up, I didn't know there was what we call media influence. I didn't know. But it was there because part of the things we read would decide or help us in the kind of reaction we'll give when we see some of the names that are mentioned. So it was an influence and it's there, it's growing. It got into us. It was only after I got into the university and began to read wider and saw that some of the people we were killing ourselves for, literally, we are also hobnobbing with the people we thought we are not good at. I mean, you shouldn't even interact with. So I began to ask questions. I began to tell myself, I said, okay, all the aluta that we do, Even we found out that the people with whom we do aluta would also go and discuss with the government, and some of these guys were driving cars while we barely could feed in the University of Ibadan. So I began to ask questions. I said, what is going on? So influence of the media and influence of which medium you consume is always there. So, and it's very powerful. So I think the foreign media have a lot to do with what is going on, both Western and non-Western.
Now, when these foreign agencies, news agencies report the security situation in the country, do they amplify the problem, or they are simply reporting what our system failed to do?
They both amplify the problem and also report what our government has failed to do. You see, if we knew, let's even look at it this way, let's be point blank. The issue that has triggered many of these debates is what Senator Ted Cruz did in September, I think on September 6th or so. If the American Senate did not come up with that bill, I'm sure this wouldn't have been a debate in Nigeria today. And yet it exists. There are hundreds of videos and hordes of reports of all these things that have been happening. So now, it is both an influence. It's both, I mean, it's everything you want to put in it. Now it has also heightened government's attention to even go further to explain that, okay, no, it is actually not. If you look at it, government does not deny that there are killings. They are only saying it is not a killing of a particular religion because it cuts across. You know, so that has also influenced government action. It has triggered government to take certain actions. And I'm sure, based on what is on ground now, all the efforts that they will be making is to put a lie to this or make them to quash the idea. Then if they do not quash the idea, government will say, look, we've done this and we've done that, and yet you are still going ahead with this. So I think it's actually going to help in bringing all those things into more focus.
All right. How well is Nigeria managing its image, global image, as we speak, in digital diplomacy and instant information?
Unfortunately, I don't think they are doing it very well. And this is because they have left it for too long. The people who have started raising all these issues have been seeing the reports from way before now. So they have a pile of information from which they are extracting their data. So that pile of information from which they're extracting their data is what has informed the bill Senator Ted Cruz put before the Assembly. And it's not actually the bill that is triggering our government now. It is the consequences, you know, part of the sanctions the bill recommended. So in our response, we have chosen someone like, maybe I don't have to mention names, some of the people who the government has chosen to do something about these things lack integrity also, you know, because now you brought someone to come and tell the world that this is where you belong and this is not happening. Unfortunately, the person came and said, you are a liar, you don't have any kind of integrity with which to do this. So I think they are putting the wrong feet forward. And all the debates so far don't seem to catch up with what is already before the international community. And again, there may be some undisclosed actions going on. There may be some subtle diplomacy that are being taken, subtle steps that are behind the scene that are not known to the Nigerian public. But hey, the information is already out there. So the damage control is going to be very, very massive, and it may not be able to catch up with what has gone out already.
Now, some have discussed the sovereignty of the Nigerian state, and the recent partnership, military partnership with the U.S. and France, has called for a lot of questions. Was it strategic, or it was just a subtle way of influencing the Nigerian security system, just by hiding in plain sight?
Now, if you look at our neighbors, Nigeria, except from the direct south, Nigeria is bordered by former French colonies. And what Nigeria
Talk
did...
about Benin Republic.
Yeah, talk about Benin Republic, talk about Cameroon, talk about Niger, talk about
Republic.
Chad, talk about... and all those countries. When you remember what we did during the Niger coup and the kind of steps we took through ECOWAS, you know that these people cannot even trust us. Because they are like, okay, we are the government here, and if they do this... So, has Nigeria been taking the right steps?
Wasn't that Nigeria playing the big brother role?
Unfortunately, we did not qualify to play that
role. Why?
Yes, because we have waned in our influence. That is why the clock called our bluff. These people walked out on ECOWAS and said, look, we don't care. And the ECOWAS was giving ultimata, was giving sanctions and so on, and nobody seemed to... In fact, it was becoming more of a problem because Nigeria, being the big brother with very huge population and with poor economy, holds millions of its citizens doing international trade, you know, and we are like the ones who are the receiving end. So we kind of lost a lot of influence with that, because at that time, I don't think the ECOWAS did it well. And unfortunately, the chairman of the ECOWAS Commission that time was our president. You know, so for me, the influence is no longer what it used to be. Growing up back in the days, I remember there were even cartoons of how much influence Nigeria had over what was going on in South Africa and in other parts of the country. Nigeria was sending judges to other countries. We had the Technical Aid Corps and so on and so forth at that time. But now, we had the Voice of Nigeria, which was broadcasting our own kind of information to other parts of the world. But now we don't have all those things anymore. Everything has now changed. And hey, it has negatively impacted our influence as an international
Now, still talking about influence. In today's world where social media often drives global narratives, how vulnerable is Nigeria to being misrepresented or manipulated by foreign political interests?
We don't even need foreign political interests. Among the citizenry, people are frustrated and they let the frustration out through the social media. And these are the areas through which all these foreign influences pick their information from. And hey, are they right or are they wrong? They are right, because when you see a distraught people, you know, you and I know that not many citizens trust our
Security operatives.
apparatuses. You know, security operatives, let's use it as a collective. We don't trust our security. If the Nigeria police tells you this is the information as against what a citizen said, people will believe the citizen more than the police. We have the same thing now on the judiciary. If the judiciary says this, they will say,
For them to have said this, it means that there's
there's
a crisis with declaration. If there is casualty somewhere, probably there was an accident, there was an accidental shooting or a shooting. Let me put it that way. And the government says, "Oh, 5 people died." The people will say, "Oh, for them to have said 5 people died, it means
more people.
There were more."
So no trust in all. In fact, it's simply put, there is no trust in the government. And the foreign powers are latching onto this. You know, and you can't help the social media presence. Yes, Nigeria can ban the social media, but will it help the banner and the bannee? No, it won't. So it's a very delicate thing to manage. And I think one of the only ways through which we can come out of this is for us to elevate our governance. It's for us to make the people to trust the government a little bit more. It's for us to make the people trust the instruments of government, the judiciary, the security, the National Assembly, and so on and so forth. If there is trust in what these people do, And how do you see, if you tell us 2 plus 2 is 4, we should not be able to begin to rig my role to say 2 plus 2 is equal to 22 minus 18 is equal to 4. It has to be as plain as 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. Once the government is able to tell us that, yes, this is the way to go, people will follow. Nigerians are very easy to govern. Just provide some of the basic things, and Nigerians will run, because we excel in many other countries. So there is no trust, and this, whether the social media is there or not, is impacting the way foreign interests look at us.
Very quickly, in 30 seconds, is social media a problem or a solution?
For me, it's a solution, because it helps in fact, I was telling someone, we were in a discussion the other day, and someone in Canada sent a message and said, please help me to do this. And I was in Umuahia. This was last week. He sent a message from Canada. I got it while in Umuahia. And I did the job in Ibadan and sent all the necessary documents and so on. And everything went. The guy was very happy. I said, thank you very much and so on. If there was no social media, I wouldn't have been able to solve that problem. That is being selfish now. That's parochial. That's me. Now imagine what you are doing now in this studio. Without social media, there will be limited reception, and so on and so forth. Same thing with government. Without social media, they may not be able to pass some of the information. However, if there is trust, if you do things and people agree that what you are doing is right, if you do things and people see that what you say is what you do, it is not that you will tell us one thing and you will be doing another, then it will reflect on how we use the social media too. Nigerians will not ordinarily begin to tell lies. I never believed what they were telling me about Abba until I got to Abba last Sunday. 2 Sundays ago. I was like, oh, the Abba I left was such a sordid place. But now you can...
It's totally different.
It's totally different. So I didn't need the social media to do that. And now I believe all that they are telling me on the social media. So social media, for me, is a solution, especially if there is a foundational basis for people to... Because if it's a problem for the government,
Now, I would love to ask you this question very quickly before we go, just in 30 seconds. In terms of pushing back on the misleading international portrayals, now, what should the government do? Especially, are we doing well in terms of media and most definitely some other areas?
The government can do better. The government can do better.
Just in 30 seconds.
Yes, thank you. Why I say the government can do better is this. There are evidences that the security agencies are not handling the insecurity the way it is expected to be handled. There are so many, we've seen so many videos of people saying, look, there are security outfits near where the attacks took place, and yet the people will be saying, we are waiting for orders from above. What happens in an ambush? Ambush is based on intelligence and so on. So the government can do better in terms of how they make their policies, how they execute those policies, and how they use the media. All
right, thank you, Sam Mwoko, for joining us in the studio this morning.
Thank you very much.
It's been a wonderful and eye-opening session with you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Now, as you have seen, the story of Nigeria's security is not told in isolation. It's a blend of internal realities and external perceptions. When the global stage casts its spotlight on us, the question is, are we controlling the script or merely acting in a play written elsewhere? A nation's sovereignty is not just about borders. It's also about owning its narrative. That's the big story today on Daybreak Live. I am your host, Samson Balogun, reminding you that until we tell our own story, others will keep writing it for us. Stay tuned for more, and for more insightful discussions right here on Daybreak Live. Let's go on a quick break. When we return, it's time for Trade Watch.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching, and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Ready to go live? Like never before. Book the OB van today and take your event to the world. One powerful broadcast at a time.
To book, call 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Email marketing@dominion.org.ng or visit our socials on Instagram @Dominion Broadcast.
Dominion Broadcast, your channel of choice.
Welcome back from that short break. The show is still Daybreak Live right here on Dominion Television, your channel of choice, where inspiration meets entertainment. Do well to link up with us on all socials: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok at Dominion Broadcast, and on X, formerly Twitter, at Dominion Cast. All right, let's go straight to Trend Watch this morning, and there's something really interesting right here, and you know, it's borders on things we do in Nigeria, and it's really. Can we say it's entertaining too?
It is. Some people have alleged that Nigeria is a country that has so many comedians, right? For every story, there's always a silver lining in their cloud of stories, yeah? So when you have a story, even no matter how serious that story is, we'll still make a joke of it, we'll still make mockery of it, we'll make mockery of ourselves and all that. But, you know, like you said, is it a joke? But not exactly a joke.
You see, sometimes, you know, stories come and then people will react to it differently. That's why I said, well, to some people it might just be, you know, amazing and amusing at the same time. But then, let's just take what's here. The Senate President who governed Akwa Ibom State from 2007 to 2015, that's Senator Godswill Akpabio, has come out to say, look, the electoral system since APC came on board is totally different. I mean, it has gotten better than that of the PDP. And yes, people would say a lot of things, but most definitely, let me take this very quickly. Under the PDP and later served as a senator on the Senate same platform, said the election during PDP era were plagued by irregularities and manipulations. Senate President Godswill Akpabio says Nigeria's electoral process has witnessed remarkable improvement since the People's Democratic Party, PDP, left power in 2015. Now, speaking during Wednesday's plenary session at the Senate, as the Senate debated a bill seeking to repeal the Electoral Act 2022 and introduce a new Electoral Bill 2025, Akpabio reflected on the country's democratic journey and lessons learned from the past elections. And he went ahead to say, you agree with me that since PDP left, elections have improved tremendously in the country. And I recall that in 2007, when I was elected governor, the then president, the late Umaru Musa Yar'Adua, publicly admitted that the election that brought him to power was flawed and riddled with inconsistencies. Now, this is where he hid under. That Umaru Musa Yar'Adua came out to say, oh, yes, I have won an election, but this election was riddled with all forms of irregularities, and the president at the time wasn't happy with the situation. But that still, you know, does not mean that there's a difference in the electoral system we have now and then. Because we still see some irregularities, that it still doesn't mean that ballot boxes are not being snatched. People are not being paid to cast their votes, and you know,
malpractice
it has not stopped. It's still there. This is more or less like electoral malpractice and the electoral system in Nigeria, they are more or less like Siamese twins. They are always together. When there's an election, there's always someone somewhere, some people somewhere who are still going to perpetrate, electoral malpractice. So I'm wondering where he got that narrative from, that it has changed. One thing I know that has happened during the APC regime, since Buhari took over at the time, the late President Muhammadu Buhari, and then down to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu at this time, was that we have seen influx of technology into the electoral system. We have seen technology being imported, like the beavers, the bimodal voter, and also the the IREV. Yes, I'm trying to talk about IREV. So we have seen that, but we have still not been able to use it. Reason is that some places there are no internet service. Some places where elections are to be conducted, they really do not have the touch of the government. So if there's no internet, how do you upload electoral results from a place?
How do you transmit?
How do you transmit? So it's still, we are still in the same era. Yes, we have spent so much money on technology to help us solve electoral issues that we have had, in times past. But has it changed? I don't think so.
Let me comment from this angle to say that anybody with a presence of mind would understand that we are falling short of what the taste for excellence should be. The standard has dropped. The foundations have been disrupted in a sense to say that we now have a low level and low quality view or outlook on national issues. Now, because if you say things have gotten better, how better has it been?
That's a big question.
Because if you say that, okay, during the past administration, we're able to have 5 naira, and then after this administration, we're able to have 6 naira. What exactly is the difference? Now, I think we've lost that taste for excellence. If we should keep saying this kind of thing, it means that we are beginning to condescend.
Maybe we are setting the bar too low.
I mean, the
benchmark for success has dropped.
How could you make this pronouncement to say what has really changed? We're still seeing malpractices, like you mentioned. I don't want to get into some of these details, but I was saying, but let's get the comment of Nigerians.
Let's take some comments.
What Nigerians are saying.
Right. Aldi Simon says, why will you not say so when you didn't contest in your party's primary election, and today you are in the Senate with some of those who actually contested? Indeed, it's a shame.
Tunde Alobe says, the best election we had since 1999 was conducted by Professor Atairu Jega under PDP's president,
right?
Jonathan Akpabio, who was a prominent beneficiary of the former ruling party, has recently been attacking the PDP almost every day. Such is life. That's what...
You see, for every INEC chairman we have had in Nigeria, they have had their own fair share of just like people will say it on the street. Mahmoud Yakubu had his own session, Moriziwa had his own session. Even Atairu Jega, that was adjudged to be the best during that period, also received his own backlash from the people. And now we have a new INEC chairman. That is Joash Amokwito. Let's see what will happen from there. Maybe it's going to bring a little bit more of a transformation into the electoral system. Now, Francis Ajuruchi says that, yes, so at least they returned you to the Senate without contesting, okay? Triple A says these were the elections that he was a beneficiary of. This life is not balanced.
And Raymond Namdi lastly says, no shame, no honor, same PDP that made you governor. I think that's all we take.
That's all we can take. All right, this will be the convenient point to draw the curtains on today's edition of Daybreak Live right here on Dominion Television. We say a very big thank you to everyone that has been a part of the show so far. Do well to leave your comments right there. We will attend to them, and most definitely keep sharing until it gets to so many other people. And a big thank you to the crew members. Thank you for being a part of the show this morning. Samson Balogun is my name. Until we meet you again on Daybreak Live Extra. That has an extra. You all know what it looks like on a Friday. Thank you for being a part of the show. Bye for now.
And I'll say don't lose taste for excellence. My name is Andolo Akpoido. Thank you very much for joining us. See you again tomorrow. Bye for now.
Look into my eyes, tell me what you see. Shayna paradise, do you see the 7 seas? I know they tell you lies, I talk on my CB. Let me pay the price, ooh, cause I've been through hell and back, or just to Alaba. Nobody like you, nobody like you. I fly go Monaco, I reach Isaleko. Nobody like you, nobody like you. They don't reach you. Ajalu, Coco, baby dance slow. Ajalu, Coco, baby dance slow.
Asawa, Okatanaganama, Ada, Matagedi boy Adagada. Her body natural, original, no be counter. I go be your teddy A, girl, you go be my bamba. Asalugo, I go marry you, I go take you to Malibu. Your movie no get it party too, never empty, your beauty very full. She they calling me your logo parada. Asabi, I know they from Mushakara. Your kozuna baka kosi wahala. Ele momo, she eating my cassava.
Cause I've been through hell